Hello and welcome to another My Little Podcast episode. We are your hosts. I am Bree. I am with my father, Gary.
Hello, everybody.
My mother, Shelly.
Hello.
And my brother, Bryson.
Hello.
Today's topic is going to be on Dad being cancer-free.
No way.
Super exciting. But before we get into that, a quick word from our sponsor. The MyLittleHomestead.com merchandise store. If you're looking for a great gift this Christmas for your loved ones or would like to treat yourself, we offer all sorts of great designs on well-made hoodies, sweatshirts, jackets, t-shirts, aprons, cups, and more. The last sale of the month is going on right now. 15% off all merchandise through the 11th. If you're interested, please check out the MyLittleHomestead.com. MyLittleHomestead.com and navigate to our shop page. Or to make it easy, we have a link down in the description. So I say sponsors quite tongue-in-cheek because that is our merchandise store. But
I like
We
it.
have sponsors.
So, Dad,
What?
how does it feel to be cancer-free?
Actually, I wish I was just free.
Just in general?
Just in general. No, I think it's fantastic to feel this way and feeling good and to have some data, that we could pull from a test to say, there's no more cancer kind of going on here. So I'm feeling really good about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can imagine. Although there is that little bit of a fuzziness, like once, yesterday or, the day before I got the test results, I had cancer. And then the next day, you don't have cancer. It's like, you kind of feel numb. It's not real yet,
Yeah.
So it's becoming more real. Because now I get to eat weird foods again.
Oh, yay!
So, well, not weird, but just I couldn't, have
Like
The
coffee.
diet
kinds of
isn't as
foods
strict.
yeah.
You can finally drink coffee again.
I can now. Coffee's on my list of things I can drink, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Mm-hmm. I know. It took us, I'd say, about a week or two to comprehend that you had cancer, and now we're trying to decompress and go, okay, he's cancer-free now. It's like
It's hard to get used to now. It's like, I don't know. I can't hardly, I don't know. It's just hard to adjust both ways, isn't it? Like we've been gearing up and focusing so much on it and thinking about it all the time. Every day I'm thinking about it, and now all of a sudden it's like, it's just unreal.
It's amazing.
yeah,
In a good way. It was unreal before, too. Getting the news was unreal.
yeah, for sure. Also,
It was
so much to
shocking.
take in.
I think the day we actually found out, we were all just like sitting down, just like can't even believe it.
Yeah, you just couldn't. It just took a lot.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is when, the day when the oncologist talked to Gary on the day before we left, he was like, it's stage 3 cancer, and so that's kind of what we thought Gary was at. And then when the test results and all the paperwork came back, he actually was stage 4. And I just remember that fear going through me a second time, like, oh my goodness, he's even worse than he was before. But anyway, we don't have to go down that road anymore. Yay! We have a happy ending here.
Yes,
so
Yeah, and we have gotten inquiries on the treatment and stuff, which we have every intention of sharing. We are just waiting on an over-the-top test. We're going to test a second time just to have
A little bit more insurance.
confirmation.
Yeah,
just
we
doubly
are.
sure.
we are definitely going to tell that story. It's a good story. It has a happy ending. We like those
types.
kinds.
Yeah.
And we, like you said, we just got to get that second confirmations before we go, say something publicly. We want to make sure that everything worked like we thought it did.
We want to cross our T's and dot all of our I's.
That's right.
Because we have time. No more 2 months to live, right, Dad?
Yeah, we never said that, but that's what we were told.
That's what they were
The
told.
oncologist also
yeah.
told him he had 2 months to live.
Yeah, which was...
I beat that by a few days.
Yeah, well, let's see, you're a few days over now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you should be living it up because this is like,
This is bonus time. Bonus round.
you're in bonus round. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So, and now because the type of cancer that Dad had was lymphoma cancer, non-Hodgkin's, I don't know how to say that word. We now know what signs that type of cancer has too, so we can look out for it, I guess, those things, because all of the signs seem to be more normal almost of the cancer. So now we know what to look out for, both in ourselves and whatever. I don't know. It's on our radar now, too.
Yeah, that's the next thing is like, okay, because you get it once, you can continue to get it. Dad could get it again. And so it's, Gary and I we've talked about that a lot. Like, what do we look out for? Because, it was like, oh my gosh, one day he's healthy and one day he has cancer, but that wasn't really true. Don't you think, Gary, it was like a 1 to 2 year gradual process, really?
Yeah, I probably have had it for some time. It's just, boom, we get to the hospital. I'm stage 4, so stages 1, 2, and 3 happen sometime.
Yeah.
And not in just 1 week.
And now that we're more aware of things like the night sweats, which I just thought, oh, Gary he's warm when he sleeps at night. Some people just sleep warm, but we're realizing that the night sweats were not. That was a sign of lymphoma, and we didn't know that at the time. So we'll be watching out for those kinds of things. And then some of the lumps most of the lumps that you had were in your stomach area, but you did actually feel some in your chest area as well. So you're very aware of that now and watching that. So
I have a big lump between my shoulders, too.
You do?
I do. It's just sitting up there. So we watch that one. I see that one every morning in the mirror. What a lump.
It's been we've named it lovingly the noggin.
The noggin.
Yeah.
It even speaks and sees and smells and hears.
It's an intelligent lump.
It's a very intelligent lump. Yeah, for sure. But happy endings on that one. Very, very happy with that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So one of the top questions that we got from last week's podcast was why we chose not to do any visuals. Why don't you put a camera on you or something, which are great ideas. But we chose to do just audio. Originally, it was because we knew we really only had the bandwidth for just audio, because we know ourselves when we get visuals in there, we want to get super fancy with it. How can we make it this more engaging so you don't want to tear your eyes away from it, that kind of a thing. And we chose to do just audio because that's what we have the bandwidth for. And also, we want just the audio to be the full experience so that you can take us along with you while you're doing the dishes or the laundry or you're commuting to work, maybe getting the kid ready for school or doing homework, whatever it is, we can hang out with you while you do your job or your task. And so that's the idea of these podcasts as well. We also got questions on whether these podcasts would be on iTunes and Spotify. So I worked the day that it came out to get the podcast out on those two platforms, and they are out. So I believe they give us a link to them. So I'll be posting that down in the description. So we can be anywhere you are when you're looking for something to listen to along the podcast idea. So.
Yeah, and it is not live. It's not live too. And we're not intending on doing it live. By doing a podcast, it allows us a lot of flexibility in our schedule.
We're excited about it being a little different than the other stuff that we post.
It's going to be fun.
Show.
And the benefit of having a podcast that's pre-recorded is we get to cut it up.
Yeah, hopefully not, though. The goal is to not have to do that. But
wait, you weren't supposed to say that. Oops.
Like on radio where you have that one button that
silences it
yeah.
out. The no button.
The no button.
5 second delay.
Yeah, and we don't do it live, too, because that's a whole nother set of, I don't want to paint it in a bad light, but nightmares, shall I say, because there's a lot of stuff that could go wrong with a live stream, and our internet doesn't cooperate with us. So it's not very consistent.
Yeah.
But live streams in the future, definitely something that we have in the works and want to do. There'll be special occasion things, but we will, I'm sure, be doing that. So one of the questions that we got, I believe it was on last week's podcast, came from Brilliant Love 2. And the question is, at what age did you start the homeschooling and what did you start with? I have a soon-to-be a 4-year-old and will be taking the homeschooling route. Thank you. Love and prayers from Minnesota.
Very good. Yeah. It's interesting when Gary and I were first doing a lot of studying on schooling. To go just a step back further, when we first had Bree, Gary was starting to tell people that we were going to be homeschooling.
I don't know. All of a sudden I said we're going to start homeschooling. Is that right?
Yeah, no, you just started talking about it, and I was like, what is he talking about? Homeschool? No, that would be me, and no, I'm not doing that.
Oopsie.
So anyway, that was kind of funny back then, and then I guess then you and I started really looking into it.
Suppose we had to. Gary opened his big mouth. So.
I just was thinking there was no way I was going to do that. But it was interesting because once we started looking into it and studying it, I got more and more sold on it. And we bumped into some books by Dr. Moore, and he has a book out that's called Better Late Than Early.
What's it, Richard Moore?
Dr. I don't know.
Oh, Dr.
Moore.
Better late than early.
Yeah, better late than early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they had done a lot of testing on children, and they found that really, a lot of times, we're really ambitious to start our kids early. We start, 3 years old, we're teaching them to read and this kinds of things. But this was kind of a different approach. He was saying, well, if you wait till they're between 8 and 12, 8 being, maybe more on the end where you've got a child who's maturing early, or 12 even can be as late as 12, start teaching school at that time and start teaching reading, especially, which is a really complicated task for a child to do. If you wait later, then they're going to learn quicker, and it's going to be easier for them. You won't have the frustrations and this kind of stuff. And we really like that. And fortunately, we're in a state that also allowed for that. That when you say, or when we said that we were going to go ahead and do homeschooling, you can check on a box to say that we're going to wait until the kids are 8 to do it. So that was kind of a neat thing too, because you have to comply too, obviously, with the laws that are out there. So anyway, that's pretty much. We did start later with everyone, and that's kind of the way we went on that.
Kind of another caveat to the starting late is that if you start your reading early, it's difficult for someone that small at 4 years old to put context to what it is that they're learning. So the more life experience they get, like 8, they get more about life, more about how social things work socially. When they start reading, they can put 2 and 2 together a lot easier, recognizing the symbols in a pattern, and these patterns have meanings to them. I think an 8-year-old it's much easier for them to make that interpretation than it is the 4-year-old. Therefore, you can teach them both at the same time. And what was the results?
Well, for me, I can just say the result was I learned reading really quickly. I took to it I just took to it really, really well. I read everything that I could get my hands on. I even read an encyclopedia series from start to finish.
Well, you were bored.
Front to back. I read everything I could get my hands on. I loved history. We have a little library in town, and I completely exhausted that source. For sure. And I loved reading, and I still do. I do it every day. It's a main part of what I do. So I don't think it stunted me in any way. I was ready for it when it was time to read.
I loved the math part of life, and that's actually I would say around 8 or 9 is when I started remembering doing it, but that's when we started teaching. But I would say, yeah, because around the same time when I started school, I understood what it was for. I think if you would have started earlier, I don't think I would have been able to put that together of what it's for. It would have been just knowledge hanging up there that did nothing,
Yeah,
or just went in and out and didn't go anywhere.
It was very scary starting later, because it's not the norm, and I had to just really stick to my guns and pray to give me strength, because it was actually hard to do that, because you are swimming upstream when you're doing that.
There's a lot of social pressure to start your kid early.
Yeah, and I remember too, Shay was in, at the time she was in some little
class thing?
Yeah,
dance class
it was
thing?
in a class thing, and they were asking her to read. It was it's not a Bible study. What do you call it when you little kids?
Oh, I did.
Like a Sunday
PBS?
school, Sunday school class or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, when they were going around reading, and they went to her, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know how to read." And I was like, she told me that when she got home, and I'm like, "Oh boy," And then a week later, they're going around, and they were going to skip over, and she says, "Oh no, I can read now." And they're like, "Yeah,
Sure,
right."
yeah.
And she just, she starts reading, and they're thinking, "You weren't telling us the truth last week." But really, she had picked up rather rapidly too on, especially the simple reading. So
I think right around that age too, you start to want to read too. And then once
There's
you
a
want to do
desire.
something like that, you learn it 10 times faster, if not even faster.
Yeah,
Like,
That's,
you just-
enthusiasm.
that's been the key to the success, is that you want to do something.
Yeah.
So we don't burn you out before you get to the opportunity to actually start learning.
Yeah, and enjoy it.
Yeah,
You
and
so
enjoy it.
You
Yeah.
learn it lickety split quick, and you can immediately apply it. Even now, if I'm learning something, I want to immediately apply it. If I can't apply it, it'll irritate me that I have to do the learning, because I'm just like, where am I going to use this? When I'm ready, I'll just learn it then. That way, it doesn't. I forget it. I'll have to refresh myself anyway when I'm there. So,
Also, too, lots of times when you actually want to learn something, it's because you have a practical reason to use it. And that's also, too, that really helps cement the idea and can really help.
yeah, for me, our learning style, definitely. I love that. Big. And we mentioned this last week, but the way we did schooling was we would do the book learning for a couple hours a day, and then we would do physical learning, and that meant that a lot of the day was open to activities that we wanted to do, and we would bring in our own subjects because of our interests at the time. So, like fort building, for example, and we get to learn, that brings math into it, and spatial arrangement and design.
And construction. We built a 2-story fort
We
with
did,
no holes that you
indeed.
could fall through. Actually, there was one.
There might have been. Who knows?
But there was no spots where you could fall through.
No, because we built awesome, didn't we, Bryson?
We built awesome
Garen was a
forts.
big part of the construction part.
We built underground
wonderful
forts.
at that.
Oh yeah, tunnels
Oh,
that you
yeah.
could crawl down with the treasure chest.
Yeah.
It was really
Those didn't
fun.
work out too well. They eventually,
They
those had
eventually
some design
caved.
flaws.
We kind of discovered the gravity,
Yeah.
weight, sand, dirt, being heavy. That's a thing.
Yeah. All right. So Mary Ellen asks, hey, I just remembered that Mom and I want to know why you guys haven't showed the pantry again. Is that not finished? And the linen closet in the new master bath. Those,
Oh, linen closet?
it's not a linen closet. It's actually a bathroom.
Oh
in the
yeah.
master room.
Nobody knows what our bedroom or bathroom looks like, right?
Yeah, first
There's
we-
a
I hope
reason
not.
why.
I hope not.
There's a reason why. We sleep in a hovel. They sleep in palace, and we have a hovel
For now, we're
and
gonna
a hole in the ground and a coffee can for our bathroom. So it's pretty. Well, which one do you want me to do first?
Let's
We had that
just the
one?
pantry first. I
Pantry it
suppose,
is.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The bathroom is it's going to be done. That's our winter project, probably at some point.
Yeah, the pantry. We've got a lot of great ideas for that one.
For the pantry or
Sliding.
the bathroom?
Wait, what did you start with? I tuned out. I thought it was the pantry.
I
But,
was doing the last one first.
okay, yeah, okay, sure.
So
I'm on
because
board
we were
now.
on that one. Okay. Now we're diverted. So I have
now
no
we're
idea where to
diverted.
go. so.
We've gone.
But no, the bedroom and the bathroom are two projects that Sean and I eventually want to get to. So I definitely we'll get there. We're just a matter of time, and making sure everybody's got a nice place to live and sleep and some place to cook food and stuff. We're happy now. So.
Yeah, we've got ideas for that. We're pretty excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool.
More earth baggy things that we want to do to that. I'm also really trying to convince Mom and Dad to design their own bedroom outside, just like ours, to make. But
Well, for 14 years
I'm
we've
having a
lived in
hard
this
time.
one spot. If it doesn't look exactly like that, I don't know if I can do it. So
Well, and as far as the pantry actually will be the last thing we do in the kitchen. So it still looks like it did originally. Gary's going to be putting shelving in there, and then one of those really cool barn doors. Looking forward to that. And that will be probably the last step in the kitchen.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
for
coming
sure.
soon.
That'll be.
coming to a theater near you.
Well, it does look a little different. It's got stuff in there now.
Oh yeah, food.
Yeah, it does.
It's
Just
being used as a
stacked in
pantry.
there.
Yeah.
It's not organized.
Well,
It will be.
it's best it can be for what it is, I suppose. All right, so Tim McCann asks, Bryson, how are the beehives going?
Last time I checked, they're doing good. Otherwise, I've just closed them down for the winter now, and we'll see what happens in the summertime. I'm hoping when summer comes, I'll be able to put the flow hives in the boxes and get those tested. Hopefully next year, but we'll see. We'll see
They're
how
a
that
slow
goes.
buzzing process.
It is a slow buzzing process.
So like the boxes you put the boxes in there for them to start building in there, and then you actually put the jars. Is that the flow part of it?
Yeah, so the flow hive is a really cool, unique idea where they put plastic frames inside of a hive, And then the bees go in there and they cover the plastic up with their wax, and they fill it in with wax, and then they fill it in with all their goodies in there, right? The honey.
Now,
and
is that
stuff.
what you have out there right now?
No.
Oh,
I have a
okay.
Langstroth box out there, which I'm trying to convert one of the hives currently over from a top bar hive to a Langstroth hive, which, you know, at the time I wanted to just build my own hive, and top bar hives are the easiest hives to get started with. You just build them. They're real simple. V tops on bars on the top and done. But I wanted to also try out a Langstroth hive. So I'm trying to convert one over to a Langstroth hive currently. And then I'll be able to put the flow frames in a Langstroth hive.
Okay,
which
because I
is what
saw
wanna
that
try.
box that you put on top of the flow, or top of your top bar hive. So you're hoping the bees will start going in there, and then you put the.
Yep, that's the
Okay.
hope. And then I'll move the queen over there. But I was kind of in the process of doing that when winter came. So I was like, oh gosh. So I just kind of closed them down for now. And hopefully they'll be all right. I think they should be.
Okay.
But yeah.
I mean, they produced enough honey last time you harvested that we're still using honey from summer.
So good. The
Yeah,
honey
it
is
is.
so
Big
good.
jar of it already still.
It's excellent.
Except for Winnie the Pooh kept sneaking in and stealing.
Unbelievable. But yeah, it's going to be fun. Just
Yeah.
time now is just waiting. They have to survive the winter.
It's nature. You have to be, patient.
Patient. But when it's ready, you have to do it.
You have to move fast. Right?
It's kind of like a plant. You can't just let it itself, otherwise it will die. You don't leave fruit on the vine. It'll just die.
And bees get bored when there's nothing to do.
They do.
Nothing
You
like a
help
bored
each other.
bee.
Yeah, there's
Busy bees,
There's
they gotta be
nothing
busy.
like a bored bee. Those bees can get bored.
They can.
Okay, Bryce Bayerly, did I say his last name right? He said, darned right, cancer should not hold a candle to the combined prayers of 200,000 subscribers. What a wonderful day.
That's right.
Bryce has been with us for a long time.
Yes.
Bryce,
Yes.
for sure.
And he's so right. Without all those prayers, the rapidity or how quickly you healed was.
Yeah, how
Impressive.
rapidly.
I think, is it just because of all those prayers?
All those
yeah.
prayers.
We had our local network working at prayers and stuff like that too, parents and grandparents and cousins and so on. But
Yeah.
it's amazing, all the feedback from people all the way, all across the world.
Yeah.
And so thank you. If I could say thank you in all those different languages, I'll just say that, and then you just put it into Google Translate, and then there you go.
There you go. Yeah,
you.
The
It's really
piece
amazing.
that was on us through such a intense time was
It was-
totally a
It was
prayers
amazing.
because there's
You could feel it too.
you just felt it.
You just felt
Peace,
it.
so much
It was
peace
amazing.
and calm, so much calm.
It was amazing. And
Yeah.
it added to the story. There's a lot that we'll be telling about the story because of the support and prayer that we felt as well. It's incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible. He had another set to his comment here too was the only sad point of this week is finding out that Bree is a CMYK conspiracy theorist. As a light designer, it's proven by science that RGB is the true primary colors. And I would say, Bryce, you are absolutely right. When it comes to lighting, RGB is 100% the primary colors.
So what, you're not a conspiracy theorist then?
Apparently not.
Busting the lid, the true story exposed. No, RGB is what light uses. So like your phones, your computer screen, your TV screen, anything that has to do with light. The primary colors for light is RGB, red, green, and blue. I think in the thing I said something else, but that is it, RGB. And
It's not green, isn't it? Yellow?
No, RGB is
Yeah,
it's red, green, blue.
red, green,
green,
blue.
blue,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was
I know, I
thinking
got
And then
yellow.
it mixes.
I got
There's
mixed
also a
up.
I don't know.
transparency in there too, but
Oh, yeah. Well, it
we
can
won't
be
pretend.
complicated.
That's-
Keep it simple.
Let's go
yeah,
alpha.
just
But the CMY.
forget about
which,
the alpha. Knocked out the window. It's actually RGBA. You're forgetting about the A, but whatever. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's fine now.
It's good.
Okay.
No, yeah. Yeah, it's
and
fine.
then, of course, where the CMY, the cyan, magenta, and yellow come into play is for pigments. So if you're mixing colors or dyeing something, when it comes to physical color, those are the primary colors for that. So like lighting is called additive color, and then you have subtractive color, which is the pigments. And that's why your printer prints in CMY.
Yeah, your paper printer.
K, which stands for key, basically black, but but yeah, so that's
That's why
kind
you
of the
don't
idea.
get RGB colors for your printer.
Yeah. So there is 2 sets of primaries. Pretty exciting.
That's interesting.
And I get really excited about color. Color really fascinates me. So if
There
you're
is no transparency on paper printers, though.
interesting, dun dun dun. I think it just makes it gray. But
Oh. Okay,
there you
I'm
go.
sorry to interrupt.
anyway, but if you're also interested in color, I have some links to some videos down in the description too. If you're on YouTube, if you're listening on YouTube.
And it depends how you spell it.
Oh.
COLOUR
Oh.
or COLOR.
Yeah, I suppose there's different
true.
That's right.
ones.
See, we have an international audience. We need to be sensitive to these things. So
I
those of you
see.
in France,
Oh, okay.
I thought they
Like
would just
Toulouse.
convert it over.
what?
Aren't they just going to convert it over?
No, just like us in the metric system, just ain't happening.
Oh, no.
I know.
Except imagine 3D printing with inches.
Yeah, I do. You have 1/100 of an inch, and you have
That is one place I love metric.
Oh, okay. I was unsure. We
Yeah.
moved into categories I could
Sorry,
not comment on. So I was
metric
gonna.
and
Is this a
standard.
gripe
Sorry,
or is
I
it a
will-
good thing? I wasn't.
It's a
knowing.
rant.
It's a rant.
Yeah, it's a
It-
rant.
full
It's
on.
about the
Good thing.
Full on.
It's actually weird. Did you know that our weight system is all metric? And they convert it to standard for us, and then they convert it back over to metric.
It sounds complicated.
It does sound complicated, much
It
like
is
color. So if you'd
complicated.
like to check out the links down there in the description to learn a little more about color, I've got some of my favorite videos that I found that are informational
How
on
do we
it.
get back to
I
color?
don't
We were
have
talking
any
about
links
weight.
about weight.
You try to move forward, but it's fine. BK Broiler says, "Great news being cancer free, but more importantly, you're not pregnant."
Yes, that is the news right there. Well, boy, I feel better after that.
Yeah, we got when at the end of the video or actually it was Friday morning. We're like, we have this news, and it's like we don't want to wait till next week to say it, but we just got the information. We thought we got to share this news, and so we get there. We are standing up there, and we're like, okay, ready to go. Bree says, go, and she starts filming, and Gary just pops out with. That was so funny.
I'm not pregnant.
That was funny.
Oh, no, that was good. That was good. Okay, so Jennifer Giles asks, "Have you considered making swivel bar stools for the kitchen from mesquite branches?"
Ooh, that sounds cool.
Done.
That's kind of cool.
That does sound pretty cool. There's ways to do it in a bucket too, like bar stools in a bucket. You put
Bucket
Okay,
bar
hold on. Let me think. The laminate. I call it laminate, but it's the stuff that the liquid plastic turns hard.
Oh, epoxy?
Help me out. Yeah,
Epoxy?
epoxy. Okay, so you take epoxy.
Resin?
Yeah, resin. You pour it into a 5-gallon bucket, and
Okay.
then you place your pole into the bucket.
Oh,
And then
you
from
peel
there,
the bucket away.
And then you peel the bucket away, and it makes some really cool stools.
For the top part of a stool?
Yeah, and then that's where you're.
Oh, that would be
that's where you
fun. You
sit.
could put a mesquite pole in there.
That'd be
know,
cool.
that'd be kinda
Yeah.
fun.
You could put like
Dad is very confused over here, but
He's
I'll
not
show him some
confused.
I'm
videos.
understanding it, but
You
there's
look
some
confused.
stools tip over if you don't have a good base. So that's
You'd have to.
You're just talking about
I'm
the
just
the
talking
sit
about
the sitting part though,
of
right?
it, and
oh
where you detach,
How would you get it for rotating? Because typically stools rotate. They twist.
I don't know.
that's your
I'm
department.
Maybe
I'm not.
You
the
attach
mechanic
a
part of it.
roundy thing to the bottom.
roundy
Maybe
thing,
that's how you do
roundy
that.
ball bearing thing.
Genius.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Exactly. You got it.
Yeah, we can look it up. I don't. Now I'm second guessing myself, but I have seen it. I promise on YouTube. We can look at
Why don't we just go to a bar and get some?
it. We need bar stools. Let's be to get
Can I have
bar
6
stools.
bar stools, please?
Okay, Matthew Gollum asks, can you please tell the company that you used on your roofs and your rooms? The type
Ondura.
of
Yeah, we use an Ondura. ONDURA,
URA.
I think. Yeah, Ondura. And great little product. We've used it in the past. Karen
Works really well.
Bryson, the studio Shays.
Just like only tip is that if you're putting it on with a really hot day, to walk flat across the
Or don't
loops,
put it on with a hot day.
or don't put it on a hot day because
Yeah, 'cause it gets mushy.
it does.
Okay,
It will get
squishy.
It's
mushy.
tar.
It's tar,
It
yeah.
has a tar base to it, so
But
Yeah.
it holds up though during
Good.
after you put it on and stuff though really well. So
Yeah, we love those types of roofs.
yeah, it's
We've
really
used them.
nice.
Since mine, I have a metal one. Just kidding.
Yeah, yours was the first one.
Yeah, but I like both.
Yours was
roofs
so scary.
really a lot.
Dad would
They're very nice.
So when Dad was cutting your roof, it was so scary because he'd turn on the saw and was like, we don't go running, because we didn't want to get hit with the metal that flung out of there.
Those are what safety glasses are
Okay,
for.
I do have something to say about that. I thought it was a great idea to use a saw, but then I learned if you turn the saw blade backwards, it doesn't do that.
Oh.
And it works better. So we eventually learned that we need to turn the saw blade on our saw backwards so the teeth are not cutting in but swiping too. And I liked it. It worked much better.
Oh,
That's
cool.
awesome.
Thanks for bringing up such
Quick
a painful
tip.
memory.
I'm sorry. I just remembered that with your metal. Every time I think of that metal roof, I think of that time where that metal comes flying out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks for that description.
Again,
Very nice.
thanks for bringing up such a painful memory.
Nobody got hurt.
Nobody got hurt.
No.
You know, it's interesting
Nobody
too.
ever
We
does.
we had the Andorra on Garen's room, then we put it on Bryson's room, and the representative from the company contacted us, and we were already planning on putting Andorra on the studio, but they actually donated that roofing material for us. So we got that was pretty nice of them, and we just did a little promo on them, which
was.
we were
Going to do
supportive
anyway.
of them anyway.
Yeah.
So that was really nice of
Oh,
them.
yeah, that was
was.
very cool. Very cool.
We still have a tub of nails they sent to us too.
Oh
that
yeah,
we've
they
been
sent
using
us
for all
even more
kinds of
than just the
They did.
roofing.
They sent
got
us
us.
even
They
more
got us
than
all
what
set up. That was
was
pretty
necessary. It
cool.
was really cool.
Yeah, and it's over our heads now. Works great.
Yeah. No
It's not
leaks.
raining on our noggins.
There you go.
Well, there's no water coming through the roof.
Well, we do have a couple more questions here. We got Deborah White. She asks, does your sealer guard against heat? I found that when we did our countertops that the sealer we used did not have heat resistance. The Tough Duck that I bought, I don't know if it's heat resistant, so we're going to have to look into that. It might be something to consider. It's hopefully we'll be using the inset butcher block cutting boards first before throwing it on the countertop. But when one's carrying a hot pan, we don't care where we put it as long as it's hot down and out of our hands. Right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. All right, Lois Crawford. When did Garen and Ellie know they were in love?
I don't think there has ever been a time they haven't known. Well, I don't know. I mean, they've just
Guys know
always
that
really
story at
gotten
all?
well.
And then we probably should ask them.
Yeah, that would be a good question to ask them. I know that they've always been good friends. You know, me and Ellie were childhood friends. We grew up together, and then we always thought that Ellie's brother would make a really good friend for Garen. And they did. They ended up hitting off later on in life. We finally got them together, and
You guys were like the four
yeah,
amigos.
the four amigos. We went everywhere together, and Garen and Ellie, they just really clicked. Even at a young age, they just were good friends and worked well together. So we were very, very excited. It was a long build up to the marriage.
We finally said he was engaged, or not engaged, but like dating her. We're like, yes, finally.
We were so excited about that for them, but it's not my story to tell. But just
No,
briefly,
yeah, no.
Let's make up a story.
I can make up one.
They
Yeah,
met
you
in
do.
space
Yeah.
on their way
Yes.
to Mars.
Yes, there
It
you
was
go.
a long trip. I needed something to do, so they felt.
Their honeymoon was Venus.
It was on the moon. Their honeymoon
Oh no,
was
it was on the moon.
Yeah,
Perfect,
there you
perfect.
go.
The honeymoon
Of course,
was
they had to
literally
build an
on
earth
the
bag.
moon.
They had to build an earth bag building first.
A moon
They
bag.
bonded.
It was a moon bag.
building.
Exactly.
Yes,
Those-
moon bag building.
Where do you think they built the cabin? I mean, let's get real.
It's on the moon.
You guys all thought that was here on Earth. How exciting!
Oh, yeah, those big trees, that was in a sphere on the moon.
Yeah. Do you have any more for us, Dad?
I've got a ton
You
here.
got a ton. Oh,
Yes, I have a question. When do you have to clean the chimney, and how do you process that?
Oh, the chimney? Like,
Which one? We got
Earth
lots of
bag.
we've
them.
got a lot of
Earth bag
them.
stove.
Oh, earth
Oh, the
Rocket stove or?
rocket stoves. Oh,
Well, we typically just take the vacuum and
yep.
right down there.
We have clean
Typically.
outs.
We do have clean outs.
Clean out.
Yeah.
So another thing too is that it doesn't produce a lot of once it gets to the chimney section where it's actually flowing out. It's mainly steam and hot air, but very little smoke because the after chamber works really well. The afterburner chamber burns and then reburns, and that's what makes a nice, a nice flow. But there is a little bit of ash, and all that's trapped at the area where we can get to it with the
Clean out.
cleanouts.
Because that pre-burn chamber pretty much burns up anything that's gonna,
Yeah.
attach
It
itself.
burns everything. That's why they're so efficient. They're really fantastic.
The ones we built work so well that near the top of where you might think the exhaust is really hot, where that pipe is hot, it's nothing. You put your face on it. It's very cool. It's not a lot of hot air. All that is trapped in the cob and in the rocket stove area
and
itself.
hopefully goes into the building.
And then that radiates into the building, so it's passive.
It's pretty amazing.
Very cool, but warm at the same time.
And I'm sure, like if you used it for years and years and years and years and years and years, I'm sure eventually you would have some buildup of some kind. But it would be fairly easy to clean out if you ever wanted to. You could make like a hose connection that scrapes the inside of the pipe if you wanted to. But
Yeah,
Which is
even
kind
out.
of chimney
I
sweep
think
of
that
any
would
sort
be
of
like
work.
if you
Yeah.
burned it every year for every winter for like 20 years or more. You know what I mean? Then it might have something.
Well, we don't
don't know.
have a lot of cold days too out where we live, so
Yeah,
you
It
know,
depends
that's
what you're
part of it.
burning. If you're burning like that stuff that's up at the cabin,
that's true.
that stuff just
Pine?
Oh, yeah, that'd be
old scrub oak. Oh man,
So
that
that
just
scrub
clogged
oak,
that
is that
thing
what
up
it
so
is?
fast.
Good
Yeah.
point.
That's true. That does. And I'm sure you could clean it out pretty easily if you had to.
All right. So Tessa asks, how is learning the saxophone going? Can you play a bit for us? and I'll answer first. I haven't touched it since we did it, and I have a few reasons.
Oh yeah, I gotta hear this.
I know. I have it sitting in my room, so I'm definitely, it's something I have not given up on. But I have a few allergy type things with my tonsils that I'm trying to kick because blowing air over long periods of time really irritates my throat. So I'm working to get rid of those right now. But I want to have it conquered next year. It's my New Year's resolution. I have it sitting out in my room every day. I'm like, oh yes, I'm gonna conquer you, baby, as I go outside. So
Okay,
that's
good.
for me. I know
Bryson,
Bryson.
what's yours?
Me,
I'm
I look
still-
at it every night and I go, oh, I should play that. And then I forget. But I'm mainly waiting for you because it was kind of like we bought it together and we should learn it together. That was going to be the idea. So I'm just kind of waiting for you at this point
sounds
in
good.
time.
All right. What else
So,
you got there, Bree?
yeah.
Oh, how is the aquaponics going? Are you going to epoxy? Oh, are you going to epoxy? I guess there's two different types of questions. So, how are the aquaponics going?
It's doing really well. I just installed like 6 air stones in it to get a little more air in the tanks because my theory was this. There's something called hydroponics that they do vertical towers, and they mist water on the roots, and the plants do really well off that because the roots are constantly out in the air. They're just hanging, and then water falls on them, and that allows the plants to get all that oxygen in their roots, and so plants grow really, really fast and really healthy in those types of environments. So then it was dawning on me that there's in our aquaponics system, there is water, air, there's oxygen in the water. But if I could increase that oxygen level, then plants should be, in theory, doing a lot better. So I installed a lot more air stones, one at the beginning of the pipe and one towards the end of the pipe, or on both sides, or the beginning of each layer, so to speak. And hopefully that will put a lot more oxygen in the water, which will hopefully increase the growth rate and health of the plants. But we'll see. They look healthier, but only time will tell with plants.
Yeah, and you had some slug situation. You're getting gonna get snails. Sorry.
There is
Miniature
about 40
slugs.
billion snails in there. I'm not even sure.
That's a
They're
lot
in
of
the pipes.
snails.
They're in the filter box. You filter the top of the water, you're going to pick up snails. They're just
Oh, wow.
everywhere. Some of them the size of a quarter. They're just all over the place. They're eating the roots of the plants, which is not a bad thing. In fact, they're keeping the roots trimmed so the roots don't overgrow in the pipes. So it's not a bad thing. But
This doesn't sound too
there's a
sustainable.
lot of them. And so I was doing some research on maybe fish that would eat snails. And there are some out there that I might actually get. I did find out that I have ramshorn snails in there. And apparently it matters of what type of snail you get in your aquaponics system or just a fish
Is
tank
that a
in
good
general.
one or a bad one?
It's on the batter list.
Uh-oh.
They do put it in there, but it's on the, yeah, I wouldn't quite put it in there because they overproduce pretty quickly. And yes, we found out they overproduce. In fact, if you take your hand and you rub it on the inside, you feel algae, but then you feel all these little lumps along the outside. Those are all egg pouches of hundreds of eggs that are just laid along the whole thing. I don't know what exactly I'm going to do. And I've realized the tilapia aren't eating that much. And I'm wondering if they're eating the snail eggs or the algae that's in the tank. They're eating something. So I yet have to solve that issue. And I don't know what I'm going to do because they're all over. They're in the pipes. They're everywhere. So I think
if you have any suggestions, I guess, for our snail growth.
I was thinking we could just grow fish that eat the snails in the tanks. And what happens is the aquaponic system grows all the snails in the pipes, and then the snails fall out of the end of the pipe and feed the fish. So then you've got this never-ending cycle where there's a constant breeding and food in there. But I don't know if you can eat a fish that eats snails. I don't know if there's
Slimy.
there's a fish out there that exists like that. So, yeah.
What was the second half of that question?
And the second half is, are you going to epoxy the concrete countertop?
Okay, for all of you who really wanted me to do that, here's my answer. No. All right, next question. No, let me explain. What we'd like to do with the countertop top is to just seal it. Shelley really likes the texture and the gravel and so on that's kind of showing through. Larger sand particles have been polished up, and it's a real nice smooth surface now. And also too, since we colored we dyed the cement, we've got a color there too. So I don't think I want to epoxy it. Somebody had written, when I read it to Shelley, said showed me a sink made from wood. Right, we had put this, I think, in the video or talking about.
Yeah, we did.
And and then all of a sudden somebody had mentioned something about me being full time. Once a week I have to shine a whole sink because it's all scratched up. And, I mean, but there's some nice, beautiful epoxy tops.
I'm wondering if there's maybe they'll get more advanced by the time we're ready to do it, so we can get something that's scratch resistant or something. Because there's so many places that we could put epoxy, but it stops us is getting scratched up because it is a plastic. That is the one drawback, I think.
Scratch resistant.
I don't know.
Glasses.
Yeah, they don't work. Are you?
Yeah. I thought, they developed the technology. No, they haven't.
No, not really. No, it's just a selling point. That's it. So. Joy English. I was just asks. I was just wondering if you guys took into consideration the high difference in the counters for plumbing. I mean, don't all your pipes now need to be 2.5 inches longer?
That's why you use slip joints on the tailpiece that comes out of the bottom of the sink, so that you can run the tailpiece down 2.5, 3 inches down lower. Beyond what you need for your 1.5 inch connection. So that's what we did. We just ran the tailpiece down further when it was setting on the 3/4 inch plywood. Then when I added 1.5 inches of concrete on top of that, it only raised it up that much. I can easily get those to fit. Good thought, though. Yeah, glad I didn't permanently.
Good thinking, Gary.
There you go. Actually, it was totally accident. But anyway,
what's really weird is I put in one of those sinks and I didn't even think about it. And I was like, and then later I was like, oh, wait a minute, that sink shouldn't have fit. But then it dawned on me.
Yeah. Dad thought through it. He was way ahead of you.
Slip joints
like
in there.
10 steps.
Had to go up.
Jackie in Joe. Says our Canadian Thanksgiving is the first weekend in October, and your reason for our being first is absolutely right. How'd you know? LOL. Glad you had an awesome dinner. A question: how hard was it to make the forms for the countertop because of the rounded corners and overhang? Dun dun dun.
Back to me again. Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
You know all the stuff on the concrete.
Well, we used. It wasn't very hard. Of course, brain surgery is not too difficult for a brain surgeon, but, you got to think about if you do this a lot, just your level of expertise in working whatever it is you do. So whatever you do, if you're a doctor or you're a lawyer, those are occupations that you're really good at, and things are not difficult because it's repetitive, and it's the same with building this countertop. Not that I'm a doctor or a lawyer, but you just know that you need to have a material that's formable. Like we used a 1/4 inch, didn't work as well on those tight ones. On the bigger swoops, it worked better. But you just got to find something that's bendable. Like probably could have used the 1/8 inch, would have worked better, or curve the backs of the corners so that it would have bent easier. But
yeah, I think if we would have done it again, we'd have found probably something that would have done the tighter corners better.
I would have went with 8 inch, or I would have curved the 1/4 inch.
Yeah, we would have done something a little different. But Dad had it all. He did the research, and it seemed like it moved really quickly, and there really wasn't any issues.
That's what a grinder's for anyway. So
thanks to the internet too, you can learn of all the different methods to do different things.
Yeah, so even if it isn't in your field, you still can conquer it. You know, hopefully
you just copy what they do online and it should work.
Yeah,
so why don't they have brain surgery on YouTube? That would be interesting. I want to read a brain surgery.
Can you imagine? I think that it would get flagged for like explicit, not explicit content, but just being like really graphic, maybe.
Yeah, definitely not a kid show, right?
Definitely not a kid show.
Okay.
They actually were growing chips that ran off of neurons. Kind of creepy, but they flew a plane in a simulator with neurons that they grew and trained.
Whoa,
human
that's cool.
neurons?
Yeah, they go in the brain.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a okay.
Thank you, Bryson.
Right. Sorry, that was a little.
You know, I was going to say about the counters though is that when Gary was sick, I was thinking, well, maybe what I should do is contact Garen and Bryson, and just while Dad can just kind of point and shoot, and then we'll kind of make a little team here to build those countertops so that. Just something as sort of a gift to Gary. And so I started getting online and researching a little bit about countertops too, because I wasn't sure what Gary had looked at. And all I could find was all these preform things that were out there by a company, and for the life of me, I could not figure out. And Gary said, "No, I got a plan to get the rounded corners." And I'm thinking, I don't know how he's going to do this. And it was even all the way up until right before they pulled them out. I didn't really even understand how that was going to work. And I thought that was so cool with that white stuff where it didn't stick. And then when you actually revealed that underneath, and then that countertop's just hanging out there, and then all the corners around. I just thought that was so cool how that worked and how it came together. It was really fun to see that happen.
Yeah, for sure. It was the great reveal when you're like, I don't understand, but I'm just gonna. He's figured it out, so we're just gonna roll. And I don't fully get it, but seeing it all come together was magical. Like, oh, it's just hanging out there, Very cool. And with all the sanding that you have done, the counters just look amazing. I can't wait to use them. They're still curing, so.
Go to sleep at night now with my hands rattling.
With your hands
vibrating.
Yeah, it's so funny too. Once you got the green light that, you're cancer free, all of a sudden now you went from working, maybe an hour or two to full blast, 8 hour, like I can do it.
No more gentle. We're gonna go all in now.
That's right.
So, probably our last question here comes from Ava K. Have you ever considered building a composting toilet to use less water? And I think the answer is absolutely yes.
We've looked into all of those things, and they have also the. They have one that actually, I think it's called an incinellate, and it just, has a paper, burns it. But those take a little extra electricity to them. But we've looked at those and... Incinerate. Here's the problem that I keep continuing bumping into that kind of thing. Like if we added a bathroom and we did that, we added a composting toilet, and then you have a guest staying there. It's just something that doesn't quite work for me to think that, okay, here's how you're going to use this toilet. I can't quite work that out in my head yet, how that would work.
So the toilet would have to work like normal, you know, and not have anything sitting in there or something. I don't know.
I don't know if it's
Like, I don't know. You know?
When you
It's a little
flush it, you're
comfortable.
supposed to go. Whoosh. That's how we do it. Make the sound.
It goes away. You never have to
Yeah.
worry about it again,
Yeah.
you know. But anyway, so yeah, the whole guest thing is, I see where you're.
Yeah,
where you're
Yeah,
going
I
with
see
that
so-
one.
that too.
We're waiting for some future inventions that I think are going to be, you know, you never know what someone's going to come up
You
with.
could do it like the space station does it, just recycles all the water.
Throw it out into space.
Yeah. You never have to see it again.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there's a lot of ideas. But,
At least that's what they do it in cartoons.
You know,
yeah, isn't that right?
I think that's how it works.
You know, you think we have so much space in space, and we do, but we're actually having issues with space station potentially running into stuff that we've just released up there.
You think?
I know.
There was so much
Like-
stuff up there.
NASA's had to put in an object avoidance system, and like they keep
that?
track of this. I've recently
that 'cause of the
learned this. I
toilets?
didn't even.
Is that all,
All this from
toilets?
But didn't they have? Remember that cartoon or animation with the Echo, or not Echo, but the other one,
Oh,
Evie,
yeah.
and they
I
had
know
to
what you
they
mean.
had to go into space and they had to blast through that whole layer of
Yeah, the
space
whole
junk.
layer of
Yeah,
space
yeah.
Yeah,
junk.
that's almost
like,
what we have to do.
But
was
it's
great.
like worse because you're having projectiles that are really small,
Oh, little ones.
and they go so fast they can be amazing. Yeah. There was like dents in some of the stuff that
We'll
they were
figure all
showing.
that out.
Like
Yeah.
anyway, it was really cool.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you
not
hanging
cool,
out with
but-
us. We really,
On that note,
on
On
that
that
note, that
Sorry.
lovely, wonderful, encouraging note, we are going to wrap it up for us today. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. Again, we do have that sale running now through the 11th over on our merchandise store. You can check the link down in the description. If you would like to get in on the conversation for next week, please post a comment or let's see, a comment or anything, a question or anything like that down in the comments
joke?
below.
Yeah,
Joke,
jokes.
yeah. Oh, we love jokes. Yeah, anything that you'd like to just add, even if it's just a fun little thing.
Dad jokes.
Dad jokes are there's always room for a good dad joke. So if you'd like to share, please post down in the comments if you're on our YouTube. If you're not on our YouTube and you're listening to us for the first time from some other place, we do 3 shows a week. We do the Monday morning, which is the podcast audio only show. Every Wednesday we do a little recap, which is just a 2 to 10 minute video showing just one subject that we have done through our weekly peak show, which is our Friday night show. 20 minutes, sit down, enjoy, end of the week, fun one, which is our main variety show. Yeah. So
Or at the beginning of the week, whichever one you want to look at it.
it is recorded on there. You can watch it
oh
anytime.
yeah, you can. You
Yeah.
can see it at any
Yeah.
point. Yeah. So yeah, over on our YouTube, My Little Homestead, you just type that right into YouTube there. And again, we really appreciate you hanging out with us, and we look forward to hanging out with you more come Friday night. So.
We do have to thank everybody for the 200,000 subscribers. Do we do that
Oh
yet?
yeah, absolutely, we can do that. We reached our 200,000 subscriber goal, which just to catch you up is we wanted to get 222 by 2020. We wanted to get 200,000 subscribers, 200 folks over on our Patreons, to contributors to our Patreon. What was the other 2?
200
200.
videos, 200 weekly.
yeah.
200 weekly peak. I'm sorry, geez, I've been forgetting what we were doing. But anyway, so the 222, and we are so close to the. We've reached every goal, but the 200 patrons, we are so close to that one too. So hey, if that interests you, supporting us over on Patreon, the link will also be down in the description. We appreciate the financial support as well as the likes and the comments and everything else. All mean the world to us. So thank you so much, and we look forward to hanging out with you more really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.